The headline was the cruise ship, but the lesson was transmission. Quick setup. Hantaviruses are usually rodent-associated viruses. People are most often exposed through infected rodents or contaminated urine, droppings, saliva, or nesting material. This outbreak got attention as it involved the Andes virus, the important hantavirus exception. Most hantaviruses do not spread person to person. Andes virus can, but usually only through close contact with someone who is sick. It does not spread easily like flu, measles, or COVID. So when people hear hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship, it sounds like the opening scene of a pandemic movie, a ship at sea, passengers from multiple countries, a serious virus, and public health teams trying to reconstruct who is exposed. Of course that made the headlines. But this is not a video about blaming cruises. Cruise ships are visible, traceable environments. They can reveal outbreaks more easily than scattered cases in less obvious settings. Yes, the cruise ship made the story visible. Andes virus made the story important. The real lesson is not avoiding cruises. The real lesson is understanding the difference between possible spread and efficient spread. Cruise outbreaks make headlines for a few reasons. First, there is a defined group of travelers. Passengers and crew form a clear, traceable cluster. Public health teams can often identify who was on board, who shared spaces, who disembarked where, and who may need follow-up. Second, there is a shared itinerary. Travel routes and exposure windows can be reconstructed more easily than if the same infections were scattered across unrelated households, clinics, or communities. Third, medical events are more visible. Serious illness on a ship quickly triggers attention, reporting, and public health coordination. And fourth, cruise clusters can be investigated across a defined population. So yes, the ship caught attention, but public health caught the pattern. This distinction matters because visible does not automatically mean common, and newsworthy does not automatically mean high population risk. A rare but serious cluster can generate major headlines even if the overall public risk remains low. Now let's talk about what person-to-person spread actually means in this outbreak context. The phrase sounds broad, but for Andes virus, public health is usually thinking about a much narrower kind of exposure. Not someone briefly walking past you, not casual contact across a room, not simply being on the same ship. The concern is close or prolonged contact with a symptomatic person. That can include direct physical contact, spending extended time in close or enclosed spaces, and exposure to saliva, respiratory secretions, contaminated bedding, or other body fluids. That is why contact tracing matters. Public health teams are not treating every headline reader as equally exposed. They are trying to identify who had meaningful contact, when the contact happened, and whether symptoms developed during the monitoring window. So yes, Andes virus is the exception among hantaviruses because person-to-person spread can occur. But in the cruise ship story, the key word is not just person-to-person. The key is close contact. Possible spread does not mean easy spread, and that is the difference between a serious outbreak investigation and a pandemic-style respiratory virus. Is hantavirus the next pandemic? Based on CDC's current assessment, no. That does not mean Andes virus is harmless. It can cause hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, which can be severe and fatal. But dangerous to an infected person does not automatically mean efficient at population spread. For a virus to be pandemic-shaped, it usually needs to spread efficiently from person to person. It needs sustained transmission chains. It often needs to move before people know that they are sick. And it needs the right context. Susceptible populations, traveling, mixing, and repeated opportunities to spread. Andes virus just doesn't fit that pattern. The CDC's May 12, 2026 situation summary stated that the risk of pandemic caused by this outbreak and the overall risk to the American public and travelers remains extremely low. CDC also stated that no cases of Andes virus have been confirmed in the United States as a result of that outbreak at that time. So the clean takeaway is this: a virus can be severe without being pandemic shaped. Respect the risk, do not inflate the threat. So where does that leave us? The cruise ship made this outbreak visible, Andes virus made it important, but the real lesson is transmission. A serious virus in a dramatic setting can make the risk feel bigger than it is. That does not mean the risk is fake. It means that the risk needs context. For veterinary and public health professionals, the goal is to help people understand what actually matters. Who is exposed? What kind of contact occurred? Was it close or prolonged? Were there symptoms? Is there evidence of sustained spread? Those are much better questions than, was there a cruise ship? So the message is not avoid cruises, and it is not ignore hantavirus. The message is follow the exposure, understand the transmission, use trusted public health guidance. Thank you for watching. I'm Christopher Lee, and what you know today protects everyone tomorrow.